So how do you ace a test while studying minimally? I've been doing that my entire education career, from kindergarten through graduating college. I ace tests the whole way through with minimal studying. I literally have never in my education career studied the way that I see people studying all the time, like heads in books, trying to cram that information into your brains. That is the wrong way to be going about it. I get it that a little bit of it has to do with natural memory retention. I do have a pretty decent memory, but I honestly think a lot of that comes from, and anybody that has really good memory, comes from their ability to trust their intuition. And what really confirmed this for me, I've thought this for a long time, but really confirmed this for me, I've been reading this book, Thinking Fast and Slow, and it talks about System 1 and System 2 part of your brain. System 2 is the conscious, slow, analytical part of your brain that uses up a lot more energy, where System 1 is the intuitive part of your brain that acts instantly whether or not you want it to. There are positive parts of System 1, and a lot of the book is about the negative biases that your System 1 can have without you even knowing. It's a really interesting book. I really recommend picking it up if you can. So it's something that he talks about in passing in the book. It's about one paragraph long, and it's in a bigger chapter about familiarity with System 1. Basically, things that you've seen before, you associate instantly without knowing it as familiar, and a lot of the times you think things that are familiar are true whether or not they're not. So part of that is that you can be tricked into thinking that things are true even if they're not. The interesting part is, though, that he talks about taking a driver test in New York City for the first time. He is from another country, and he moved here, and he studied for the driver test by reading the book one time, setting it down, and then just going into the test and trusting his intuition. And he passed the test. That's exactly how I passed my driver's test, too, which I failed my driver's test the first time, but that's because I parallel parked wrong. Not really because I studied it, but just because I hadn't been taught correctly how to use my turn signals when I was pulling in, whatever. I'm not bitter about that. The thing, though, is this is what I've been doing my entire education, and I think it can really help you, if not ace your tests, it will at least help you increase the test scores. There's a huge part of test taking that is confidence in your own knowledge. If you've sat through this class, you've heard it, it's in there. You don't need to keep cramming that stuff in there. The only stuff you should be cramming into your brain is stuff that's not covered in class. So if you're in college, this happens a lot more in college than it does in high school, and the teacher only covers a little piece of a subject and says, the rest of it's your homework, you do need to go read that stuff because it needs to be somewhere in there. You're going to retain a lot more than you think you will. And the key is being confident in that intuition. When you see something on the paper and you think, oh, that looks familiar, going with it, especially on tests. I kind of have to reread questions sometimes because they'll do the little trick thing where like the sentences are almost exactly the same but the date's different or something. But usually if I trust my gut in those things, and this sounds like crazy, right? Saying, oh, trust your gut. And that's what people have been telling you for years, probably. The thing is, there is science to back it up, and it's almost a guarantee that when you go into your next test, if you are still in college or high school, that you'll do better on your test if you just trust your intuitions, you're more confident, and you allow yourself to let go of that anxiety. Don't think you're going to fail the second you sit down, because you will fail then. You're manifesting your own reality whenever you do things like that. You really need to be confident in your actions and be confident in your abilities. Otherwise, those abilities will go to waste. So I would be really interested for you to tell me next time you take a test whether or not this helps. I know for sure this has helped me a lot throughout my entire education, and it helped me on my driver's test. It helped me anytime I've ever had to take a test, and I hope that this helps you too. I just wanted to share this little piece of information, and I really think you should go check this book out if you get a chance. There's so much information in here. If you can see, I'm only like an eighth of the way through this book, and it's already blowing my mind. It's confirming a lot of things that I already thought or knew, but it's giving new vocabulary and new ways to talk about it. And that's what he talks about in the beginning of this book. He's not going to totally blow anyone's mind with a lot of this stuff. It might blow some people's minds, but a lot of it is things that you feel like are true, but you don't know why. And this really tells you why and shows you solid proof, solid experiments that have been done to prove these things. So get out there and ace your next test.